The wind across my forehead was like a living thing. Last line of Wshngtn Blck. Finished it. This is basically all of part 4, which is England, but which is also a trip to Amsterdam and then to Morocco. And can't remember if they catch Wilford, the slaver guy. He apparently has gotten nabbed for something else and hung. He killed somebody, killed a man, killed a black man. I have a feeling, and Wash wonders if it's his double, and they hang him. And indeed, Christopher Wilde is alive. They visit his mother, who's like really tells them shit, but does point him in the way of the abolitionist society, where they find out he's given papers in, and they end up tracking down Peter House in Amsterdam, who says yes, he is alive and he's in Morocco. And so they go to Morocco, and by they I mean Tanner, Goff, and he go to Morocco, and they track him down, and he's there, and he's got another assistant, another young boy, and he's working on yet another project. And it's interesting. He learns things. I mean, he got selected for ballast, but no, you have a mind. He says you're a singular thing. I mean person. He says, and that you had a great talent, and that's why I was with you. But there's also just the thing of, he said, like, oh, you would be good, well cared for by my father, and the thing. So he sort of discarded him as well still. But he also learns about Philip, and that yes, Philip and Erasmus, the sadistic brother, who has died unmourned, alone at that plantation, perhaps his power broken, perhaps making everyone as fucking horribly miserable and tortured as he went out. Who knows? He and Erasmus would torture Philip as a kid, and indeed, and when he was older, they lured him out. His father was dying. Philip's father was dying, and he had been sitting with him for weeks, but they lured him out for like a day of a night of drinking, and he came home dead drunk, and his father was dead, which you can't help but think is Philip brought them the news of the death of their own father, and then committed suicide on the estate for maximum damage. So there's a lot of talk in this section between Wash and Titch about, were you aware at all of any of these things, of like the damage you caused? And it's like, no, he wasn't. He really felt he was doing the right thing with him. He has his own childhood stuff that he's arrested in, his own sorrows, but he's never really, as Wash says, you've never seen me. And it's like, apparently they'd never seen Philip, who was a debauch in his own way, drank and loved fine wine and fine food, but hung out in very disreputable, low places, gambled the whole time, but donated half his income to a widows orphans fund, which, if he actually used it to just pay off his debts, he would have been debt free. So we didn't know anything about him. We didn't know anything about, each other's sorrows. And Titch says, like, oh, I did my best not to cause more harm, but, in a way he caused harm to Washington. I mean, he scarred his face. Even when he kind of raised him up, he actually separated him from his what turned out to be his mother. I mean, that's bearing the lead. That's the big thing that Wash learns going through the slave things, is that Kit, Big Kit, was his mother, but probably knew that they were going to be ripped away, or that he should be get away. If he could get away, he shouldn't have the connection, the tie to Kit, Big Kit, or else he might not have got away. At least that's one way to look at it. Though it's also interesting that Big Kit had another kid with her the next time he went up to the house. Like, that role had gotten replaced, and that had hurt Wash then. And there's something about seeing the young boy with Titch here. It's like, oh, he's doing the same thing again. He's recreating everything again. All these instruments to observe but never draw a conclusion from. And then the final scene, well, first, I'd like to say, they're talking, they're having this long conversation at the very end of the novel, and it's like they fall into the darkness and they neither can see each other's face, which makes me think of Conrad's Heart of Darkness, when they're all talking together in England as the tide goes out and it goes into darkness, and that just unknowability of each other. There's also a lot of, a lot of things of black in this book. And at the very end, Wash stands up and he slowly, gently puts his hand on Titch's collar, which is like the same motion that he'd given. That had happened when he was selected at the very beginning of the novel. And it's sort of a thing of, I don't know if it's forgiveness or if it's just sort of letting go. And then he goes out and he opens a door and there's a sandstorm and there's like an orange blur. And the whatever I said at the beginning about the sand across my face was like a living touch. It's like, okay. I just like to experientially just like hold on to that. That is Wshngtn Blck by Essie Dugan. I guess I'll think about it and try and come up with a decent review for it. All right, more videos later.